Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Kimber, the licensed marriage and family therapist at Remind and the program manager. And today we are starting off with our first episode of our weekly reminders, and I am broadcasting from my home. So welcome. Today we wanted to start off our topic with self-care. Why is self-care important? I'm sure that just like everyone else out there, we are all experiencing a lot of anxiety. And so this is a really important topic to talk about today because we all need a little bit more self-care to take care of ourselves during these times. So we're going to talk about what self-care is. Today I'm going to break it down. Who, what, when, where, why in regards to self-care. And so we're going to start off with just a basic definition. What is self-care? So self-care is deliberately taking care of yourself, your well-being, by doing restorative activities. What are these restorative activities, you might ask? We're going to get into that. But first of all, who needs to do self-care? Is it just people that are experiencing mental health symptoms or that have a mental health diagnosis? No, everyone needs to be practicing self-care, especially right now. And so it's really important that you let me know maybe how you're doing, what you're doing for self-care. You can comment below. It's really important that everyone be practicing this right now more than ever. And so I really challenge you to kind of think about what you do currently for self-care for yourself. It might be a little different now that you're inside of your house. So we have to be a little bit flexible with our ideas of what self-care is, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. So what is self-care exactly? I think the really important part to think about here is that it's very individual to you. So one of the things that I do for self-care is I talk to other friends that are experiencing similar situations. Now, we're all experiencing this right now. I like to speak to one of my friends who similarly has to work at home and is having some challenges with adjusting. And so we were talking the other day about how we're adjusting to our new lives being at home and having to work with new coworkers, such as our spouse. They are our new coworkers because we're sharing the workspace with them and the challenges that come with that. But I told her that I was going to be doing this video for y'all, and she said, "Oh, self-care, please don't tell people to take bubble baths." And I had to laugh because for a lot of people, taking a bubble bath is a restorative activity. But I think, the buzzword with self-care is people automatically think, oh, you have to pamper yourself, take a bath, go to a spa. And I think she was just really sick of hearing that. And so I think one of the things to consider is that it has to be important and restorative for you. It has to be meaningful for you. So knowing what self-care is for you might be more important, and you also need to know what it is not for you. And so for my friend, taking a bubble bath is not a restorative activity. The key to good self-care is that if you're doing something that you enjoy that is restorative for you, it's going to improve your mood and it's going to reduce anxiety. I think we can all relate to right now. We need to reduce our anxiety and we need to improve our mood. I know some people have good days and bad days right now, but the reality is that we are all experiencing a lot of anxiety. So the key is really to know what self-care is for you. Now, one of my other self-care activities that I like to do that I find restorative is doing decluttering. And so while I was doing one of my decluttering projects, I came across this, which is a whole list of nurturing activities, self-care activities. And I highlighted a bunch because some of them just aren't feasible right now while we're social distancing. And so I highlighted the ones that were, and there's over like 50 different ones on here that you could do for self-care right now at home. And so when we think about it, it doesn't have to be something where we leave our house, where we go to a spa, where we're having to be around other people. There's a lot of things that we can do in our own homes. And so some of the things were on this list. Listen to music. That's a great one you can do at home. Um, Ironically, the second one is take a bubble bath. So luckily my friend's not watching, but if you do enjoy taking a bubble bath, you can do that. Go for a walk. Make sure you're going for a walk around these places that there's enough social distancing so we can be safe. Exercise. This is one of my self-care routines that I usually do. Go to the gym. And I know I have another coworker who really enjoys going to the gym, and we just can't do that right now. So one of the things is that you have to be flexible with your self-care routine right now and consider trying to do things differently. And so there's an empty parking lot next to my apartment, and I like to just go around, walk around there at night. It's not the same as a gym, but it's exercise and I can get out, and it's something that's a restorative activity for me, and I count that as self-care. And I notice on the days that I don't do it that I feel worse. And so it's really important that I make sure that I'm deliberately making time to do that so that I can feel better. So if you guys need more ideas, you can Google ideas for self-care and come up with a lot of different ideas from a lot of people and just see what fits for you. And so we talked about who needs to do self-care when. Let's talk about when. When do you do self-care? Obviously, right now, we need to do it, right? There's a lot of anxiety in the world with what's going on. But ideally, this would be a practice, something that's ongoing. It needs to be part of your routine, just like brushing your teeth. Hopefully, it's part of your routine. And that's something that you do to take care of yourself for the long term. So, if you start doing self-care right now, that's great. If you hadn't been doing it before, because it doesn't matter when you start, it just matters that you start doing it. And right now, I think a lot of people are realizing, I don't feel good. There's a lot happening. I'm stressed. I'm worried about so many different things. I'm at home all the time. My routine's different. And so you have a lot of extra anxiety. If you're watching the news, try not to watch as much as you normally would, but I think it's a little hard. I've probably watched more news than I've ever watched in my life in the past couple of weeks, and I don't think that's necessarily helping, but it's increasing our awareness of the anxiety that's happening. And so we tend to do self-care reactively, so we realize, okay, I feel bad now, I need to do something, but ideally it would be something that's preventative. So you start a routine, you continue the routine, and it becomes that when there is suddenly something that's going to bring anxiety to you or something that's very difficult, you're better able to handle that situation because you've been taking care of yourself. And so this would really be a good time. I'm assuming a lot of people have some extra time right now to really think about what they would like to do for self-care. Start thinking about ideas of how they can start implementing it into your routine. And you have some extra time right now. So it's a good time to start thinking about this and really practicing, and right now also doing more than you might have done before, because we do have that extra stress and anxiety right now. So one of the things that can be helpful is rather than just saying, okay, Sarah, I hear you, I'm going to do self-care. And you're going to say, I'm going to do some self-care tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and you're like, yeah, what am I going to do? I don't know. So what you could do is I challenge you to think about different time increments. And with those different time increments, what you could do, what you enjoy doing if you had a certain amount of time. So for example, if you had 5 minutes of time, what could you do for self-care? What would I do if I had 5 minutes? Well, I would get my favorite mug. Yep, that's right, it's a Christmas mug, and there's a squirrel. And I love this mug, and it makes me happy. And so I would take it, and I'd make some tea, and sit and enjoy with my mug. No shame that it's April. I use it all year long, and it makes me happy. So what would you do if you had 5 minutes? What would you do if you had 30 minutes? So for me, I might go run around that parking lot next door. For you, what would you do if you had 30 minutes? Make a list. Think of the different ideas that you could do. What if you had 2 hours? if I had 2 hours for self-care, what would I do? Um, Again, no shame. I would probably watch a Christmas movie because that makes me happy. And so think about what could you do in 2 hours? And I challenge you also to think about not only what you would do right now when you're stuck in your house, but what are you going to be able to do in the future? Once we're out of this kind of weird new normal that we're in, and you have 2 hours that, think of activities that are going to work for now, and then maybe some that you'd like to try in the future. And so with that, think about if you had a whole day, what would you do if you had a whole day? Maybe you want to go down to beautiful Galveston and walk by the water. I think the beaches are closed right now, but in the future might be something you could do. And then lastly, if you had a whole weekend, what would you do if you had a whole weekend available? I think one of the things that I look forward to for self-care when I plan self-care is traveling. And so, right now, obviously, we're not able to travel. And some of our travel plans that we might have had maybe are canceled. And so we're bummed about that. So what can you do right now thinking about your future weekends? I was reading somebody's post that said they really like to think about and plan their vacation, even though they know that they're not going to be able to do that soon, but they're able to research and think about that. And it makes you happy, and it's a restorative action. And so that's a good thing for self-care that you can do. So I challenge you to think about those different time increments, come up with a list, make a list of what you can do during those different times, and then, plug it in on your schedule. So if I have 5 minutes of free time and I know I need to do self-care, this is what I'm going to do. If I have 30 minutes, this is what I'm going to do. And so figure out a strategy that works for you that really gets you into this routine of practicing it. Because we don't want to just do it once we don't feel good. We really want to practice. And so think about maybe doing it at the same time of day every day, or every couple days, like every day at 7 o'clock I'm going to do this. Just figure out a system that works for you. You might even maybe set an alarm on your phone. And I don't know about you, but it would be nice to have an alarm on my phone that reminded me to do self-care rather than just one that reminds me to wake up every day and get ready for work. So maybe you could set an alarm that when that goes off, time for self-care, and you see how much time you have during that time, and then plug in one of those activities that you already know work for you. Okay, so we've got the who, what, when. Now we're going to go where. Where can you do self-care? Anywhere, right? So like I said before, it's not just going to somewhere to do it. It's not just I can only go to a spa to do self-care. No, you can do self-care anywhere. You could do self-care while you're at work. A lot of us aren't at work right now, but if you were at work and you had 5 minutes, maybe you could get your favorite mug and have some tea. I know one of my other coworkers really enjoys having a schedule. So she has a planner, she has a schedule, and that helps her stay organized. She can do that at work. She can do that at home. Whatever these different self-care activities are, I want you to think outside of the box. It doesn't just have to be you going somewhere to do them. And right now, I think you just have to be really sensitive with yourself and flexible and realize that I have to adjust my self-care routine, and that's okay. Like I said earlier, if you go to the gym and you can't do that anymore, well, let's not just stop working out, because that's not going to be helpful for us. We just have to adjust and maybe try something different, like working out at home or working out in the concrete parking lot next door. It's not glamorous, but it works, right? And I can tell you that after I work out in that parking lot, I feel better. So you can do it anywhere. Let's talk about the why. Why is self-care important? Well, it's important because it helps us to feel better. And who doesn't want to feel better right now? We all want to feel better. It helps us to improve our mood. We all need to improve our mood right now. It helps us to reduce anxiety. We all need to reduce our anxiety. So right now, more than ever, it's a great time to do self-care. It's necessary for our health, for our well-being. When we're taking care of ourselves and we're having less stress, less anxiety, it's going to actually boost our immune system. And we all know that we need our immune systems to be really strong right now. And so that's really important. That's one of the why reasons. Another reason why is it's not just for you. Some people, I've talked to some moms that are like, oh, I can't do self-care. I feel guilty when I'm not, when I'm taking time for myself and I'm not taking care of my family. But let's be honest, if you're not at your best, you can't be the best for your family, for your coworkers, for your friends, for your community. So making sure that you're doing self-care and taking care of yourself is not just for you, it's for others around you. I know that's not something that we often think about, but it can really help us to, maybe prompt us to do more, prompt us to really take care of ourselves. Because if you're one of the people that feel guilty taking care of yourself, do it for others, and then you get the benefit for yourself and for others. Like I said, it's really to reduce stress physically and emotionally. We all need that right now. Like I said, it's also a restorative practice. So it's restoring ourselves, and it has to be something that is restorative to you. Like I said, make sure you're picking self-care activities that really resonate with you and make you feel good. And it's not just something that's going to make you feel good now. Like I said, I like to go out and work out outside. I feel better afterwards. But it's also going to be something that is going to help you in the long run. So yes, you're going to feel better now, but if you continuously do this and you continuously practice this, then this is going to be something that is going to help you next week, next month, next time something really stressful happens, and you're able to better handle that because you're in a better place mentally and emotionally because you're taking care of yourself. It's just like eating healthy, getting enough sleep, all of these things really are for now and for the long term. And so that's why self-care is really, really important. And so I'd be really interested to hear what you guys are doing for self-care. If you have questions about what self-care is or what self-care looks like for you, we're more than happy to answer those questions. I really encourage you to consider what your self-care routine is right now. I know that mine looked a little different before I suddenly got stuck at home. And I know one of my friends I was talking to was like, what do I need to do self-care for? Because I'm home all the time anyways, right? I mean, I'm just hanging out on the couch. It doesn't really matter right now. I'm not going to work. I don't have that stress. But it really is more important right now than ever because of that extra stress and anxiety. So even if you feel like, I'm just not doing anything, what do I need to do this for? Think about all those things that I talked about today, and that one, you want to do it for yourself. You want to do it for your loved ones. You want to do it deliberately to take care of yourself and to restore these, do a restorative activity for yourself, for your mental health, for your physical health. All of these things are really important, and I think that's why it's a buzzword right now, right? Everybody's talking about self-care. Make sure you're doing self-care. But are you really doing your self-care? And that's what I want to question you and challenge you today to really think about what you're doing and what could you be adding. Like I said, I gave you some great examples, and I think it's really important to consider what you could really do. So that's all I have today for self-care. Thanks for tuning in. If you have questions, comments, please feel free to write a comment. We'll get back with you if you have any questions. I really appreciate you being here for our first weekly reminder. Very exciting. We're going to have more coming to you. Next week, we are going to have Lauren, and she will be presenting on embracing the unknown. She's going to have talking about 4 tips to deal with anxiety, to navigate anxiety. That's going to be on Monday, April 6th. It's going to be at 11 a.m., same time, same place. You can also follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, follow us on Twitter. If you need resources, you need mental health resources, further resources on dealing with depression and anxiety, please go to our website, remindsupport.org, and explore what we have on there. And if you have any questions, feel free to send us a message, and we'll see you next week. Bye. Take care of yourself.